Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. And you're all staying safe and confined. Looks like the market is enjoying the stock market is enjoying the good news of possibility of being at what they like to call the apex of this coronavirus. I think it's a little bit too early to determine that. We don't know when a peak, as I like to put it, will happen until it already does happen. Um, but all good news is always good news, right? I don't want to be too pessimistic, but we got to remember when what science decide is going to decide our fate. We can't buy our way out of a pandemic, and so we got to do what the scientists say, okay, or listen to them and then apply what we want to put to it. All right, but listen to the scientists and use your critical thinking skills about what's going on out there. Um, we are talking about our waste stream, right? And we're about to talk about what's called municipal waste. Okay, that's where we're going to start off the slide presentation today. And municipal waste, just everything we do as a community, throw away as a community. And that can be solids or organic matter or whatever. Okay, we just collect it, right? And this waste stream is always controlled by the local communities. They are the ones that have the say or nay to what they recover. So, like I talked about before, Robert Morris tried to do a good recycling program here, which is hard because no one could pick it up. We had no logistical way to get it out of the offices and things like that. So it kind of fell apart. But there are other communities out there that are actually trying to change the municipal waste stream. And it really is, we'll talk about this a little bit more. It's a carrot and a stick approach, meaning that we need to put regulations on the one level of the community on certain things. Like we don't want lead acid batteries thrown away into the landfills because that's going to kill us. Okay, but we also need to give us some carrots, maybe some extra benefits of recycling, like returning those pop bottles for a nickel, like I used to be able to do as a kid. All right. But it all starts at the community level. Federal regulations can make some broad, don't throw away lead acid battery kind of declarations, but it is really up to the local communities to pick up that waste stream and divide it up how they see fit. Okay. And San Francisco's on the cutting edge of this. They want to be what's called a zero waste city by the year 2020. So it is 2020. I don't know where they're at. This was posted up at 2016. So they were at about, I think in this video they say they were at 80% 2016. So they might have done it. All right. And all this means is that they want to reduce, they don't want to be sending anything out to a landfill. If it's organic, they want to compost it. If it's plastic, they want to recycle it. Everything needs to, not be going to the landfill. So let's watch this little video about how San Francisco is becoming a zero waste city. Okay.
Did you know that the urban waste produced from cities around the world is enough to fill a line of garbage trucks stretching more than 3,100 miles? That's a distance from Florida to Washington every day. And things are only expected to get worse. Thankfully, some cities such as San Francisco are paving the way and trying to change the way we think about trash.
San Francisco plans to become zero waste by 2020, which is a pretty ambitious but awesome goal. And this is the main nerve center for all of the city's recyclables. This is where everything ends up to be sorted and processed. What is zero waste?
It's an idea.
You have to have the infrastructure for recycling, and they are building it.
Landfills or incinerators.
In 2009, the city passed a law requiring residents and businesses to sort their waste into recyclables, compostables, and landfill trash.
So they laid down a stick.
Private company that handles
You got to sort
When
them.
I started at Recology 23 years ago, the recycling rate was around 38%. Today, we've more than doubled that.
So far, San Francisco has diverted 80% of its waste away from landfills, and its success has been getting global attention.
Government representatives from all over the world visit this facility to learn about how they might be able to replicate what's being done here. What is the current method of waste management or recycling in your town?
What we have a lot of in Denmark is actually incineration, where you burn the
And
waste.
Denmark
Do you
burns
think
almost
you
all
might
their
implement
trash.
some of what you've
I think
learned
they even
here?
One
import it
thing that we have heard
to
about
have it
is
burned.
the value of composting. We don't do that a lot. So maybe we will go home and do more composting.
San Francisco now collects 650 tons of food scraps.
This is what I
and
love
trimmings
the
and
most
other
about San
organic
Francisco
waste every
system, the
day.
composting
That
system.
material is brought here to be turned into compost.
This is
I
one
love
of the most
compost.
modern composting
It's magical.
facilities in North America.
Okay, so you can see a bunch of stuff here that people have thrown away. Mostly like wood here, a shoe, this flip flop.
Yeah, there's a
What's up with shoes?
well, there's 7 billion people on the planet, so there's a lot of shoes.
Yep,
We're in
a
country
lot of
here
shoes.
in California,
But
we're
not
people
enough
moving
shoes,
very quickly, and
unfortunately.
so people make mistakes. So we get the things that are not supposed to be here, we get them removed right away, right at the beginning.
After the waste is ground up and screened for plastic and other bits of trash, the organic matter left over gets watered and aerated. A piping system then filters out dangerous greenhouse gases produced by microbes. In about 60 days, the compost
Called
is
methane,
completed
and then they burn it. You burn your make your barbecue with it.
How does composting help the environment?
Composting keeps materials out of landfills. It returns nutrients to farms. It reduces the production of very potent greenhouse gases.
The intercropping of the flowers and the
Water,
grapevines.
rainwater.
I mean, it smells like hell, but it's actually very beautiful what you're describing here. You know, people's food scraps, which might otherwise be waste, comes here.
Ah, what a beautiful
to
sight.
essentially feed these farms and produce new crops.
Well, from this facility, more than 300 vineyards have received the compost and applied it to their vineyards. Farmers
carrot,
are using the compost
the
to grow cover crops. Pull carbon out of
community
the
gets
atmosphere
that profit
and
off of selling
return
that
carbon
compost now. It reduces the
back to
cost.
soil.
So it kind of
This is
pays
one
off
the
for them
best
at the
things we
end,
can
the long
do in
end.
an effort to
Less
slow down
taxes.
climate change. People have really heard a lot about environmental problems. They want to hear now a lot more about environmental solutions.
How much recycling and composting is there in your town? Let us know in the comments below. And be sure to watch this next episode about a woman who already lives a zero-waste lifestyle.
Yeah, you should check out that video. It's pretty neat. This lady, seriously, all she has is this jar of trash. Over 2 years when she lived, where's her little jar? That little jar right there. Oh, gosh, darn it. Well, I'll pause it when it gets there.
Your town. Let us know in the comments below.
She has this little tiny jar, right?
A woman who already lives a zero-waste lifestyle.
2 years.
Right there. 2 years of trash in that little tiny jar. Amazing. Okay? So look that up. Zero Waste Lifestyle. Laura Singer. But I love that San Francisco thing because it's the local community, you know, putting in the carrot saying you have to divide your stuff into these little recyclable areas because that makes it better, easier for the facility. That's the hardest thing is getting the individual to actually sort and clean the recyclables into the different bins. Okay, and that's a tough thing to get a society to do. So they laid down a carrot or a stick on that one. You have to do this, this, and that as an individual. But they gave them some carrots at the end, which was a reduced cost to everything, better tasting wine, carbon sequestration, a lot of positive externalities came out of this whole thing, as well as reduced costs to the consumer, okay, of managing the waste. Okay, so it was all well worth the investment of their time to sort everything. Okay. But how we manage our municipal waste is up to us. And municipal waste is referred to commonly as our trash or garbage. Okay, and it's many different things, from materials, from food to paper scraps to plastic to glass. Okay, so we just redefine each kind of category of our garbage. All right, and here in the United States, before recycling and composting, about 26 of our percent of our paper went to the landfills. Okay, and food scraps and yard trimmings, all this stuff that can be recycled or composted. Okay, after recycling and composting has started into America here, into the United States, we do a pretty good job of recycling our paper. All right, brought that down to about 14% going out to the landfills. Our food scraps, however, we still are not doing anything good on that area. So you can see this went up. That's because a couple of these categories went down. All right, yard trimmings has actually gone down. Okay, so we do have some good municipal yard trimming things you might see um, out there in society. So you're, like I said, Green Tree, which is a community around here, Moon Township, will go around during leaf time and collect those little bags and make compost piles of them for leaf mulch for the community to come in, spread in there, and get free mulch for their garden beds. Okay, and that, I'm telling you, that mulch, biggest potato I ever grew. All right, so we have done a fairly good job of recycling, and we still need to do some more on composting here in the United States. Waste generation has nearly tripled in the United States since the 1960s. Okay, and reflective of our increased packaging and non-durable goods, this trend ended around 2005, though, with a source reduction in reuse practices, leveling off the total waste generation. All right, so we've done a good job of kind of hitting that peak, all right, or the apex of that waste generation, because we realized there was a little bit too much. And we'll talk about that in just a couple more slides here, a little more detail on some more slides. As developing nations become more affluent, the waste production and consumptions tend to increase, though. We tend to still buy more things. It's that rebound effect. All right, we become more wealthy, so we're out there buying more products, hence generating more waste. And many more poor people in these countries support themselves by just scavenging and selling items from dumps. Right, people actually live in these little dumps areas and go around and try to, they make their money by doing this. Okay, and this is not anything different. I know an individual that goes around and collects steel and stuff from scavengers. All right, that's just what he does. All right, he doesn't necessarily go to dumps, though. He goes to buildings that are about to be demolished and stuff like that. It takes out the precious stuff that can be recycled. But developed countries have improved their waste collection and disposal. All right, our waste still has been going up, our waste stream, but we're able to reclaim some of that stuff, so it doesn't actually go into this bottom part, this landfill part. So you can see our landfills have basically stayed flat since 1985. The size of the amount we put into our landfills. All right. Because we have increased what we burn. All right, we don't take anything, we burn it, and then we boil water to make some steam to turn the turbine and have these magnets go around some copper waters, and hence we get some electricity. All right, we could do that either just via garbage. I think I mentioned in that video that Denmark almost burns everything they have. All right, they actually get garbage sent to them from the other European countries to burn to make electricity. All right, and they get paid for that, paid for their waste stream. Okay, and then they charge for that electricity. Good business, huh? You get paid for your raw materials. We've also become better in recovering the recyclables, so you can still see that's a little bit flat as well. All right. We got to that one point, just like we reached those peaks of law of diminishing returns, sort of. Okay. And then starting to flatten out. And composting, we're starting to get a little bit more composting in there, and I wish we'd do a lot more of that. That is the magic. We throw away about 40% of our food is wasted, and that food waste stream could go and be composted back in. We do a good job, like I talked about, getting our lawn trimmings, like our cut grass and leaves and stuff like that. But we're still lacking on composting our food. And that's hard. I mean, you got to tell a society that we take all the food scraps and put it in one little container. It's tough to do. Okay, that stuff starts smelling after a while if not done properly. But it can be done without it smelling, believe it or not. Packaging is a major source of our waste that can be easily reduced. So reduction is like the key, right? We want to reduce our waste stream, and hence everybody saves money. All right, and packaging is a major source of that waste stream and can be easily reduced. So there's a whole industry out there about how we can reduce our packaging. I mean, it's an engineering phenomenon that people just want to try to reduce that kind of stuff. And each corporation kind of has the efficient packaging model nowadays because they want to reduce their cost and reduce their waste stream. Okay, consumers can buy unwrapped products and buy food in bulk now. All right, there's a lot of those zero waste grocery stores going out there where you have to bring in your own little bags. Um, and manufacturers can actually switch to packaging that is recyclable or reduces the size and weight of their containers. So a lot of times you'll get some peanut shells that aren't those styrofoam peanut shells that don't biodegrade, but are the ones that biodegrade, and it'll say it right there on the package, and your product is still just as safe. Some governments are beginning to tax and restrict the use of plastic bags out there for grocery stores at one-time bags because they persist for a long time, and they often get into our water stream and into our um, roadsides and stuff like that. They just blow away, right? There's plastic bags all over the place. So what they try to do is tax them and or restrict them. So there's some towns out there and cities and municipalities like San Francisco that say, hey, no more single-use plastic bags. Okay, you have to either give them a brown paper bag that's compostable, or you pay for that bag. Some cities say, hey, you're gonna have to pay 5 cents. Some cities give you 5 cents off. Like if I go to Coons and bring my bags in, I'll get 5 cents off per bag I use. Not a bad deal. I'll save that 15 cents, right? So is it the carrot, tax them, charge them, or is it the stick, or is the stick, tax them and charge them, or is it the carrot, give them that incentive to get the reduced cost? Okay, I'd rather have the reduced cost, in my humble opinion. All right, it took me a while to figure out to remember to bring my bags to the grocery store, and I finally got into that system, and now I bring them. I can't use them because of COVID-19. And I have to use single plastic again. I'm like, oh man, all right. But they're still in the back seat of my car. When this is all over, I'll whip them out again. Okay. Consumers may have the option of reusing items to further reduce. So the macro is only as good as the micro. So it's going to start with us as the individual. We're going to have to change our ways and habits, but it's not as hard as you think. All right, because donate used items to charity. How hard is that? Right, I think that's pretty simple. And the things that are still in good quality, you take down to Goodwill and they can reuse them. You get people jobs. I mean, that just makes total sense. Okay, we should be doing that to begin with. Okay, but with our disposable society, I don't know. We need to start reusing the boxes and paper and plastic wrap, all these different things that we can reuse first. Okay, I think my medical supply company, I get some medical supplies shipped to me about every 3 months for my injuries, and I think their boxes are always reused. All right, but I don't mind. Okay, as long as I get my medical supplies, I'm happy. All right, but you can do this. I remember one time I got an engine for my golf cart sent to me, and the packaging material was just a whole bunch of old boxes, all shredded up, and that was the packing material for that engine. It worked great. All right, I was real happy. You know what I did with that packing material? That shredded cardboard, I threw it in my compost pile. Gonzo. All right, now it's gonna be feeding my flowers. Yeah, probably this season. All right, next season. I give it a year. My compost takes about a year, but I got enough to go. I have it timed out properly. You can rent or borrow items. There's a new sharing community out there for tools to go get your drills and things like that. All right, and I really like those kind of communities. They're pretty neat. Buy groceries in bulk. That's why we have the Sam's Clubs out there and the Costco's. But there's other ones that just concentrate on zero waste lifestyle, buying in a bulk and bringing your own packaging and not just buying just the big package. Reusable cloth bags, of course, we just talked about. Double-sided photocopy, whatever you want. I don't even know if we need to print things out nowadays. Keep electronic documents rather than printing them out. Right? Put them on a thumb drive. Those old thumb drives are right on the cloud somewhere, and that saves a lot of time. Bring your own coffee cups to the coffee shop, right? Reusable water bottles and things like that. Pay a bit extra for durable, long-lasting, reusable goods rather than disposable ones. Okay, it's going to cost you a little bit more money, but you need that break-even point when is going to your cost. When is your benefits going to outweigh the cost? It's going to be a year or 2 years. All right, it's 55 cents. I think I save 10 cents for each refillable cup I get for Starbucks, so I get 10 cents off. All right, my cup already cost me what, $10 easily. So you do the math. Okay, rechargeable batteries, all these little different things. Compost kitchen and yard waste. All right, that's probably my favorite thing you can do is make a little compost pile or start a little warm bin for your food waste if you have a small little apartment or something like that. All right, warm bins work. They don't smell. They're amazing. All right. So all these little things, and tell a business what you think about the packaging and products. Put your 2 cents into something, right? And remember, there's a lot of jobs out there about this. How do you, the business wants people that know their stuff about packaging and how they do this stuff. You can have a whole career in this kind of thinking and design. Right? We talk about that in the sustainability minor that we have here on campus. When solid waste policy is being debated, like government representatives know, like I said, this is all about the community. All right. Moon Township wouldn't have that LEAF thing if they didn't have a strong community backing on that. And we would probably still have a better recycling. I think, the community does. The problem with you got to remember, Robert Morris is a business, so they have a different kind of waste collection stream as do the local house owners. Okay, so there's commercial waste stream, and then there's the municipal, homeowners waste stream. Okay, so it's the municipal thing that's having the trouble with recycling. I'm pretty sure when I lived in Moon Township, I don't live there anymore, we had curbside pickup for our recyclables into different containers except for the compost. Okay, support your organizations and produce that promote waste reduction. So look it up when you be an educated consumer and know what companies you want to support, because you know that they try to have cradle to grave design on their cars or something like that. Okay, and like I said, the thing that we're lacking the most and probably could take most advantage of is doing some more composting around the world. All right, especially here in the United States. All right, and composting is the conversion of organic waste. So instead of taking those yard scraps and yard debris and food scraps, we put them into a compost, big huge pile, and we let Mother Nature take over, and it makes it into dirt. Man, sweet smelling earth. It's a magic. I mean, it is the real black gold out there. If we were in class, I'd probably bring in some of my compost and show you how delicious smelling it really is. But believe me, compost is the way to go. All right, and our organic waste stream is huge. We waste about 30 to 40%. All right, low end 30, high end 40% of our organic material out there. So we can easily compost that stuff. The problem is collecting it. That is the key, getting that logistical thing to get enough organic waste together and put into a big pile. Okay. We also could recycle a lot more here in the United States, although we have increased it. The thing we recycle the best is paper out there. And we use material with covered facilities. And these are just the facilities where the workers separate all the stuff. So when you're throwing that recycled plastic out there, remember somebody's rooting through it and making sure that different grades of plastic get put where the different grades can go. Because each kind of plastic has a different way of being recycled. And some are more durable than others. Okay, and some are easier to recycle than others. The second step is for the materials to be used in manufactured new goods. So they take it down there and they separate it, melt it back down, and just reuse that plastic once more and to put it into pellets, plastic pellets to make something else. And the last step involves consumers and businesses buying products from more recycled material. So we need to look out at our material, and you'll see on the bottom of a cup or something like that, it would be, say, made out of 80% recycled material or 90% or whatever that grade may be. You'll never see, maybe even 100%, who knows, okay? But each material now usually labels it in order to educate the consumer of what they're buying. Various programs and efforts have increased recycling rates in the United States. So we went from about 7%, 6.5% of the waste stream in the 1960s to about 25% in 2014. And we can see the total amount we covered here in the United States is this blue line. So we've covered, we went from almost zero back in the 1960s, all right, to over 90 million tons. Okay, so about 5 million tons to 90 million tons over this time period. Okay, and that equals about 35% of our waste stream being recovered. That's only a small dent in our waste stream. Imagine if we actually increase this to 50%, how much totally recovered it would be. All right, so that's pretty a good trend beyond. Okay, I like to see this exponential growth. We need to get this up here again. All right, we need to send this line much higher. And there's some certain things that are better recovered than others, easier to recover than others, and some that are very important to recover, like these lead acid batteries, for example. We don't want this lead sitting in our landfills. All right, and we don't want this lead sitting in our landfills and getting into our waterways and aquifers and killing us all. All right, so we have about a 99% recovery of the recyclable rate. And you know how we do that a lot of times? It's just you put a deposit down on your lead batteries. And when you go in there and get a new battery for your car or whatever, you just switch them out. There, it takes care of it. And then that you have to pay for that. There's like a deposit on it. Okay. Newspapers, 68% are recovered or composted, all right, which is excellent. Okay, paper and cardboard, same thing. Yard trimmings, a nice increase of 61% of that. Okay, that a lot of municipalities are starting up those compost facilities like we have here in Moon Township. Aluminum cans, gas containers, and plastic. But still, look at this plastic; it's still only at 10%. But there's a lot of breakdown, a lot of different grades and qualities of plastic that can and cannot be recycled. And we got to clean out those containers all that rigmarole. Right? So it's very tough. But this is probably one of the biggest things we need to work on is our plastic. And I say our organic, our food stream isn't on here either. Okay, because I don't think any of that is really composted unless you go into San Francisco or a community that requires it. So financial incentives help address the waste issue, and it's all done via local municipalities. Okay, yes, we have some higher fines out there on the federal level due to things that are really going to hurt us, like lead or something like that. But we usually do what's called as a pay-as-you-throw garbage collection program. All right, so municipalities charge the residents a couple bucks a month for so many bags of garbage. All right, so you're allowed to put 4 out or 5 out. There are some give and takes of that, all right, and how much they need to weigh and things like that. But it's basically pay as you throw. Okay. There's also what's called bottle bills, all right, and that's a stick, pay as you throw. So you can charge, you get charged for something, a service that is provided for you. All right, but it definitely is a stick. All right, and then there's the bottle bills, which are laws that have consumers pay 5 to 10 cents deposit on each recyclable container, and then that is refunded when you bring back the containers. So you put a little deposit on it. And I like these little bottle deposits. We don't have too many around the nation. There's a couple states that still do it. We used to have it when I was a kid, but no longer here in Pennsylvania. But they show that states with these bottle bills have a recycling rate of about 3.5 times higher than the states without them. Right? It's kind of like that carrot. I'll take this for a little bit, give it back, and hey, I got a couple bucks back, and then I can go buy some more pop, and then do it all over again. Right? All right, why don't we stop there, and then when we get into the next section, we'll talk about our landfills and how we manage those and take care of those kind of things. All right, so I hope everybody's staying safe out there and is doing your homework and keeping up on Blackboard with your assignments on there. Okay, if you have any questions, give me a shout out on email or what have you. Thanks. Bye bye.